Kell Brook versus Errol the Truth Spence Jr. Viewership numbers coming up. Stay tuned. Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also hit the subscribe button for the latest and greatest of boxing. Now, I want to talk about some numbers. Great fight, great welterweight fight, meaningful fight, and that was between Kell Brook and Errol Spence Jr. And they had it out for 11 rounds. Errol Spence Jr., most of you guys that are real boxing fans know that by now. Errol Spence Jr. was victorious. He piled it on in the last closing rounds before the fight was stopped, and it just became too much. The wear and tear, maybe the weight cut, the battle of attrition was won by Errol Spence Jr., and Kell Brook's eye started to break up. It was the opposite eye from the Golovkin fight. And I gotta talk about some numbers. The Showtime live telecast for Kell Brook versus Errol Spence peaked at 337,000 viewers, and it had an average of 291,000. So I want to talk about those numbers. Someone hit me up and they're like, oh, what do you think about the numbers? They're so poor. This is a midday telecast. Just so you know, all of the telecasts that come on extremely early because the fight was in the UK are typically lighter numbers. You know what I mean? If this fight would have happened in New York, I think it would have had even better numbers, because the reason being is I live in California. I live in California, so it's Pacific Standard Time. And for me, I almost missed the fight because I tried to take a nap, and my writer texted me, and you could ask him, Bakari, shout out to my dude Bakari, but my writer texted me and he was like, let's go. And I looked at my phone and I'm like, is the fight on? And he was like, oh, Kell Brook's walking out or something. And I'm like, oh shit, right? And I woke up and went downstairs. So the fight came on extremely early. This is not an excuse. The numbers did what they did. There's no changing that. But I'm just telling you how this thing works. So like when Klitschko was fighting in Germany, or like Klitschko Fury, or really anything, Klitschko Joshua, those fights that happen in the UK, they might have subtly better numbers, but at the end of the day, it's because their numbers are affected because they're coming on so early. So for me, Pacific Standard Time, this fight came on, I want to say like 2:15, because the George Groves fight didn't go the full distance. George Groves got the stoppage win to become a champion. Congrats to him. And he got his dude out of there. So this came on extremely quick right after. So you got to factor that in. The afternoon, a lot of people work. I mean, leave me a comment and let me know if you work for yourself like me. But I know my whole life I worked, you know what I mean? I had an actual job. So in this instance, even if you had banker hours, 9 to 5, you wouldn't be able to watch it. You know what I mean? That's 9 to 5 is not, it's not up too early and it's not off too late. But if you can't watch TV, or there's no TV in the break room at your job with banker hours, you still would have missed this fight. So I'm not surprised by the numbers. And this is the other thing. There's some people that anytime, like I was raving about this fight. I told you this is a fight I want to see. And when they perceive it's a fighter I like, or whatever the situation is, and they feel that there's a disappointment there, all of a sudden they show up out of the woodwork like true haters. And they're like, oh, talk about the numbers, talk about the low numbers, like Ward Kovalev, right? Predicted Ward would win. I was right. Some people disagreed, but it was a great fight. I covered it live. The Kell Brook Errol Spence was a great fight. And it's like you guys, some of you guys want me to talk about it if you perceive the number as like a failure. And to me, I have to question your boxing, how much of a boxing fan you are, because great fights like this, Ward and Kovalev, Crawford, Postal, Kell Brook versus Errol Spence, you shouldn't be happy that the numbers didn't do sensational or over 1 million or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like you want to contaminate the sport with a bunch of negativity. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, the numbers are the numbers. I report them for the viewers, so they have a grasp on who's like the real rock stars and the A-sides and stuff like that. But I don't ever want it to get to the point where it takes away from the actual fight, because at the end of the day, I don't work for Showtime. I don't work for Eddie Hearn, Matchroom. So fuck the numbers. I mean, as a reporter, I'm gonna tell you the numbers as a, you know what I mean, as a professional, but I really could care less about the numbers. I care more about what it does for boxing, how it shapes the division, what type of fight it was, what we learned about each fighter, and that's what we got in Brook Spence. Spence was tested. People say, oh, step up. He's only fought guys that have been beaten already. Chris Algieri, Leonard Bundu. Now, Kell Brook had been beaten, but he hadn't been beaten by a welterweight, and certainly not that. You know what I mean? The only guy that beat him was at middleweight, 2 divisions higher. So we learned stuff about both fighters, right? I told you I don't know how Kell Brook bounces back with the 2 eyes, and most importantly, because your body can heal. Given the proper time, your body can heal. It's really psychologically, that's where I'm concerned. And now he almost messed it up for him, because he's making it. He said, I think post-fight, that he can make 147, but Johnny Nelson, Eddie Hearn's doing interviews, and they're saying, oh, he'd be foolish to go back to 47, or I told him to go up to 54. So now he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. You can go back to 147, which, since you did that middleweight jump, is going to get harder and harder and harder to cut that weight, because you gain so much radical weight. He's probably in his young 30s or whatnot. So you did that, and I talked to Andre Ward today, and I'm gonna get the content up, but someone said something about moving back down to 168, and Ward said it best. He said, I'm not going back to 168. He said that would be foolish. He said that's why it took so long to make the decision, because once you jump up, you jump up. You rarely see fighters come back down in weight. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense, and it's not good, and it's not necessarily healthy. You know what I mean? And he's absolutely right. The guys that I've seen that have dropped weight is usually because they're getting their ass kicked in the higher divisions, so they have to drop weight. You know what I mean? Like Carlos Molina at 54, he was doing cool, and he stayed at 54 the whole time. Fought James Kirkland, fought Edislani Lara, gave them both tough fights. As soon as K9 Bundridge destroyed him, a little bit. Well, he had some other stuff. He had like a sexual assault case or something. He was on the run or whatever. But as soon as he got knocked out by K9 Bundridge, then you later see him drop down to 147. You know what I'm saying? So I see it in instances like that. Or if someone just jumped up real quick to get a fight, like Felix Diaz, he just wanted to get a scrap. So he jumped up to 47 to fight in the opportunity to fight Sammy Vasquez, or Ruslan Provodnikov. Jumped up to 47 to fight Tim Bradley. Gave him hell, actually, too. And then he went back down to 140. But in general, most guys don't, unless it's like a once and done or whatever, on their own terms, they don't usually go back. So Kell Brook, I don't know what he does, because 54 is stacked with killers. 47 has killers. And people know the vulnerabilities. I don't care what anyone says, but it was very reminiscent to a Roberto Duran, No Mas type of moment. So whether you want to play semantics, like, oh, he quit, oh, he had to retire, the bottom line is you took a knee and the fight was stopped after that. Not by the ref, but between Kell Brook and his corner. I don't really know who made the executive order or the decision, but the fight was stopped on behalf of the Brook team. You know what I mean? So you can play word games and Scrabble. Oh, it was a quit. Technically, he retired. He didn't quit. He gave up. He forfeit. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to call it, that is out there. You know what I mean? People have seen that. So when the going gets tough, for a fact, guys are going to press the action. You know what I mean? That's why they do it. That's exactly why they do it to Victor Ortiz. If you believe you have more heart than Victor Ortiz, or when it gets really rocky and the fight's not going his way, he can't dig down deep, then you're going to do that. Like Josito Lopez, he was arguably losing. I haven't seen that fight in a while, but from what I remember, he was probably losing at the time of the stoppage. But he knew if he just kept on trucking, he might be able to get Victor Ortiz in a compromising situation, drag it later, or make him quit. So a lot of killers, man. But we'll see what Kell Brook does. Those are the numbers. Peaked at 337 viewers. And like I said, I'm not surprised by the numbers. They're not the highest that they could have been, but part of that's because of the midday. But the other reason is Kell Brook and Errol Spence, nobody's saying that they are the biggest rock stars. We said they're good fighters. Diehard boxing fans, no one's claiming that they're the next Canelo Alvarez in terms of their stardom and popularity. So there's really no discussion about that. Nobody said, I never heard Floyd Mayweather say, if anything, he'll say Errol Spence, he could be a future star, future pay-per-view star. But most of the time when people are praising Errol Spence or talking about him, it's talking about his skill. Like, oh, I seen the kid spar, or his body shots. They're not really talking about like, oh, Errol Spence, he put 4,000 people in the front row. Like, no one's really talking about numbers. So that's where some people get it twisted. For people like Golovkin, I would say, stuff like that, HBO told us that he's a huge global star, but his pay-per-views didn't reflect that. David Lemieux and Danny Jacobs. So those are different situations. But again, we know how the game works. Some people, they want to peek their head in when there's a perceived failure. But to be honest, it's not a failure, because Showtime, even with these numbers, they keep putting on great fights, right? Broner versus Mike Garcia just got announced 2 days ago. So Showtime's definitely, with their regular package, is killing the game. And more importantly, we got a good fight out of it. So Showtime's reputation didn't suffer from it. If it was like, that's why I don't like, I like talking about numbers for you guys so you're well informed, but I don't like to overly stress numbers, because it doesn't mean anything. Like Canelo versus Chavez Jr. did great numbers. It did over 1 million, but the fight wasn't as meaningful because it was a man-made division, 164.5. Canelo didn't even want to accept the fake belt, the commemorative belt that they made for it. So you had that. And then the fight was a complete and total dud. So all in all, it did great numbers, over 1 million, but I would have rather over 1 million people seen this fight, or Victor Postol, Terrence Crawford, or Ward Kovalev, because those are meaningful fights and they were all good fights. Let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.